Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Space Opera Music Podcast, another Star Wars show. It is such a joy to be here. Thank you for being here with us today. This is Ashton, and joined with great friend Tim here, all the way from Germany, and I myself am in Florida. So, worldwide excitement. We can put it that way. Welcome.
Hello there, and welcome wherever you are in the galaxy, as fellow sessionists say. Thank you for being with us today. It's so exciting to finally start what we prepared in very few days, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started, right?
Yeah, hit the ground running. Just like the simulations.
Yes, right. Actually, to have transparency mode on, Ashton and I, we actually met twice via FaceTime. So we do not quite know each other very well, but somehow we do. And
yeah,
maybe it's a good start to kind of somehow introduce ourselves, what we're about to do, or what we are going to do, or what we already did in the past. So, do you want to start?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, lifelong musician, and the music of Star Wars has, dramatically affected me in my life and my upbringing, and it's a, you know, it's a core part of who I am, and how I've grown up. So, yeah, so needless to say, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and so yeah. I mean, what I have done is, after years of music school and just nerding out in general, I have started to try to bring my thoughts, try to share my thoughts and things that I find moving or special about Star Wars music, and try to share that with as many people as possible. I've kind of made breakdown videos on Instagram and YouTube, and try to explain things in a way that are accessible and relatable. And it's been really fun to see that there are so many of us out there that feel the same way, and it's enjoyable to kind of try anyway to put into words what so many people love about the Star Wars movies and the scores. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've done, and that's a huge part of what Tim and I are wanting to start here is do exactly that. Yeah. we'll
And
leave it at
actually,
that.
what you just said is how we met. So I followed your Instagram a while ago, and I saw your videos on your breakdowns, and I found them very refreshing. Very, I liked your attitude, how and what to present in Star Wars music, and in a very natural way for me to instantly connect with you and your work, actually. And that gave me somehow a head start, because I already saw you in a couple of videos and you didn't see me.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Yeah, we can agree on that. The connection we share is somehow very has a foundation somehow in the Force, in the meaning of
Somehow.
passion
Yeah.
about Star Wars. You cannot explain it,
Right.
actually. It
No.
is just like it is.
Yeah. I love what you said. During our first meeting, is like the Force. Like this was totally Force guided. And that's absolutely how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is
I'm
no other
so
way to
thankful.
explain it. Yeah.
There's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So for my part of my introduction, Star Wars has been a big part of my life as well since I was 6 years old. So actually, with the Phantom Menace being 25 years old these days,
Yes.
it's 25 years of being a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
And this passion in general has been a part of my life in general, but it was 2 times in general. The music just kept me from time to time in doing music or learning music.
Mhm.
somehow very indirect, because I started learning piano in primary school, and then later on I learned saxophone, and I have been playing a lot of saxophone and studying, etc. But the music of John Williams introduced me to classical music and to music in general, and it is probably the music I've heard the most in my
Yeah.
entire life. Records or funk records or any kind of genre that was interesting or needed to be learned for like business purposes. But
Mhm, mhm.
right now, it was the moment in my life where I had to share the knowledge and to geek out with people who might feel the same way. And I'm so glad that I found you in the first place. And then when I asked you a couple of days ago, you already immediately, instantly said, yes, let's do it. And I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, yeah. I am too. I mean, thank you. It is always fun. You know, I've met so many, like, I was never active on social media before
Hmm.
doing these videos. You know, just middle of last year, I was like, okay, like, let me just do this really for me. And then just, yeah, it's been so cool to meet so many people from all over the galaxy. And yeah, just, I am thankful as well. Like, I know it can be like, sometimes it can, you can, not overthink, but you can maybe talk yourself out of messaging someone or reaching
Hmm.
out to someone, you know, and
Hmm.
I'm glad that you didn't talk yourself out of it. It was, yeah, like you said, total force thing. And yeah, instantly, absolutely was my response. So
Yes. And I'm glad that we both somehow have the time to actually execute it right now.
yeah, for me, it's during my 2-year-old's nap time. And that's, you know, like, you
Yes.
know, which you and I talked about this, like, during, you know, like, whenever I make all of my breakdowns, it's usually during either nap time or it's late at night, you know, after everyone else
Hmm.
is asleep. Um, Sometimes my 2-year-old will wake up after I sit down, you know, for 10 minutes and I haven't gotten anything done, and there goes that night, you know. But it's just consistently trying, you know. So yeah, it is nice to have the flexibility and the free time. Those little pockets of free time, anyway.
Yeah. Sweet. What was your first point of contact with Star Wars? What's your get in story?
Yeah, yeah, I love this. So, legend has it that my first Star Wars viewing was whenever I was 3 years old. Um, and I believe it because for as long as I remember, as long as I can remember, Star Wars was on the TV. You know, it was the old VHSs, and you know, those are some of my earliest memories as a kid, and very specific scenes that I remember as well.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and I can tell that. I mean, now I know for certain, but I can tell in my memory bank that my parents would fast forward through certain things, you know. Um, and for example, you know, one time that I was a little older and they probably thought I could handle the Rancor scene. I definitely couldn't, and they
Oh, I see. Yeah.
to 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 my sanity fast forwarded at my request,
Hmm.
and that was nice of them. But yeah, so slowly and slowly, you know, was able to consume all of the original trilogy, and then I very, you know, the piece of Star Wars that I fully consumed and that just completely let my imagination wild was the Phantom Menace. Um, that was my, you know, it felt like mine versus like the
Hmm.
original trilogy felt like my parents were showing me something, you know, like the Phantom Menace felt like, oh, like this is mine, you know, like that I
Hmm.
can explore and stuff, and I didn't have to fast forward through anything, you know. It was very much, um, yeah, I don't know what the right word is, but it really just from then on, it was like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan, you know.
It's very interesting because it's a very huge topic. So the get-ins of Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
And very often it starts what movie they saw in the first place for the first time, which is like their get-in era of Star Wars. And to me, it's very interesting that you say that you became a fan, really a fan, with the Phantom Menace, even though you saw the older movies already.
Yeah, it's honestly tough to say that because I definitely was a fan. Like I had before the Phantom Menace came out, like I had, my room was littered with Star Wars toys, original trilogy toys, and there was even like an old Millennium Falcon video game for the PC. It was like, I don't know if you had this in Germany, but it was like, or if anyone out there has this too, but it was like this huge bulky like cockpit of the Millennium Falcon that you set on the keyboard of your computer. And
for real?
Yes, and it had like, there were like the chairs and like the gunner thing, and you would press the chair down, and like the way it was sitting on the keyboard, it would press the keys, and it was like an interactive video game like that. And just, it was the best. And like the music in that, I can still remember the feelings that I got playing that. And just, yeah. And so that was, I was very much a fan. Some of my favorite scenes that I remember are from The Empire Strikes Back, actually. The fight on Bespin specifically. I vividly remember that as a kid. I think because it was kind of dark, and kind of scary, but exhilarating too. The lightsabers and like that is. I was very much a fan, but when the Phantom Menace came out and the toys that came with it, and just the technology was better too. The interactivity and different things. It just was completely life consuming at that point. So we can put it that way.
That's great. Life consuming is great.
Yeah, that's the best way to to put it.
Because it's so rich of so many things you can like get consumed. Because as a kid, it's toys and lightsabers and everything which is very accessible to you in supermarkets or in warehouses, or I don't know where you go. But the older I got, the more levels I got to know, which are certain aspects of Star Wars where you can really, really nerd yourself into. And the first time to meet people who have the same, let's say, basic knowledge of Star Wars and the depth of Star Wars and certain knowledges was very a treacherous moment, because it's immediately connecting, just as we immediately connected, and it is very, very. It's a very, very, very huge gift. So, yeah, let's make a pause on that point, because it's a podcast on itself. You can only talk about that. But my get-in with Star Wars was not with my my family, because my parents weren't into Star Wars, and Star Wars was in Germany not as big for many reasons. But the films, actually, the OT released a couple of years, a month later in Germany. That's what I got to know from people who lived then, and I didn't.
Right, in the 70s, right? Okay.
Yeah, 70s. It was a delay of I don't know, 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, something like that.
So 80s at that point, then.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's the German Star Wars history is fascinating itself, because it's so different from, like, especially the US, the original hype, etc. But
oh wow, we could. I would love to have a whole episode about that, like to learn about that. I didn't know this. That's very, very fascinating.
Yeah, we will do it anyways. But my get-in was in primary school when everyone was dressed up as Anakin Skywalker, the young Annie, little Annie. And they had double-sided maul blades and pod races you could fly with your hand. And I was so fascinated by my friends, and I didn't know what it was. And so I asked my mom can I see the Phantom Menace in the movie? And she just went with me without knowing what it was. But that was my entry for being such a nerd, actually. And from that point on, Star Wars was always with me. It was there were times where it was not very it was close and more distant, but it was always there. So and especially from the beginning on, from day one, I'm a Lego Star Wars builder to the day. There was a small period of time where I didn't actually collect Legos, which I regret, but because some of those sets are very expensive right now. But there was one mosaic piece which was connected to Star Wars from the beginning, and is until now, actually.
Wow.
So Star Wars is my passion, and that's I do like to think about it and how it develops in my life, actually, because for me it's very a natural thing. It feels very natural and very common, but some people see me as the Star Wars guy in friends or people I know, and sometimes it bothers me because it breaks it down to Star Wars, and I like to talk about Star Wars, but not all the time. But when it came in 2017 to the point that I got to buy a stormtrooper suit and joined the 501st Legion and the German garrison, the subdivision of the 501st Legion, it was a whole nother, so to say, epic level of geekness to share with people. And I was not aware how special this connection is to this whole thing, because it's more, it's a passion. It's more than a hobby, because it's so widespread. The topics you can learn about and learn from is so widespread, and many people don't have this enormous passion for anything. And so it's a very big gift, I think, for us to have this enormously big franchise, which is very cared for creators as well for fans. And that's, I'm grateful for that, actually.
Yeah. What great. I don't even have anything to add to that statement. I mean, I think that's how a lot of people feel. Yeah. Like you said, worldwide. It's just...
Have you been to a Star Wars celebration yet?
I have. It was 2017 Celebration Orlando.
Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, 16 or 17. I think it was 17. And that was my first tangible experience of like, oh, there are so many of us out there, like we always have our, we grow up with our little friend groups and things. Yeah. But that was a very special and magical memory that I'll keep forever, is experiencing that, just turn every corner, and you could start a conversation with anyone. That's just, like you can't do that at, somewhere that has similar population inside of a building would be like an airport. And there's something desolate feeling about an airport, at least for me anyway, or maybe desolate's not the right word, but lonesome, which can be a fun vibe, but you're surrounded by people and they're all strangers. But in that convention center, it was not that way. It was like a family reunion,
Yes. Star Wars is family, man.
Yeah. So Celebration is special. I would love to attend one again soon. I don't think I can go to Japan next year, but right, next year, 25?
Yeah.
You are?
I will report.
Please do. Capture everything.
Yeah, I will. And I hope that the next celebration will be in Orlando again, because it will be a nice possibility to actually meet up in person.
If you're flying over here, the least I can do is drive an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
it's nothing for US standards, right?
No,
1.5
no,
for you guys.
Just dealing with traffic on the main interstate here that crosses Disney. The traffic is always horrendous. That's it. So
yeah,
I'll gladly sit through hours of traffic to meet you in person. That would be so magical.
Thank you. It's just a matter of time, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. Sweet. And I wanted to add something, but I forgot it. It doesn't matter.
Oh no.
So maybe we should go in from this introduction right into what we are going to do in this podcast in general. Because when I did my research for my master's degree, I was looking for various sources to quote or to refer to. And there were few audio media that specialized in Star Wars music. This is one reason why we are doing this, but there were some things I discovered and feel the need to share it with you and with our audience, because one somehow Bible is the Star Wars music catalog from Frank Lehman.
Yes.
We will somehow attach the link to this PDF to the podcast, because it's a very, very rich full resource to dive into anything music related.
Yeah. I am so thankful. You have so many resources that I had no idea were out there for this, and I can't wait to get hear more from you. And but this one is just, I had no idea this was out there. And if anyone listening to this is anything like us, you have to get this PDF. It's just every theme organized, and not just the main themes. It's like incidental themes, or like recurring motifs and fragments of things. So it's very in depth. You can it's also interactive, so you can click on the film or whatever the case, and kind of surf the PDF that way. But man, I wish I had this. This would have helped me so much over the past year.
Yes.
making the videos I've been making.
Yes.
So this will come in handy.
It might be an overflow of information for people who are not used to read music or read notes or
yeah, good point.
But
lots of notation on
even
there.
Though you're not able to read notes, it might be a good starting point if you want to do it, to start with it, because very many of the melodies or motifs or themes you will already know, and it's easier to learn it that way, to read how it sounds.
And yes, and most of them, or if not all of them, have YouTube links linked to the theme itself. So if you click on that, if you don't know what it's talking about in the caption, or obviously, if you can't read notation, just click on the YouTube link and it brings you right to the clip. that it's referring to. So yeah, I do think it's I do think the person who loves the music of Star Wars but isn't a musician, I think, yeah, would have a blast, exploring it.
Yes. Yes. And the second thing I'd like to add to this, as a kind of somehow basic information when you want to deep dive into music, is the fact that when you're looking on Spotify for certain parts of music, you will see that it's not available there for many reasons, and one of them is legal reasons, I guess. I'm not that much of a YouTube guy. That's why I don't know if the original CD I'm referring to is on YouTube. It might be, but I just want to tell you guys that there are some released editions that provide more music than the Spotify versions or Apple Music versions, and yeah, period.
Yeah, like there are a lot of parts of the score that you'll hear in the movies as you're watching through, but when you go to listen to the soundtrack, it's kind of just like the Cliff Notes version, or like it'll have the main themes, but there are a lot of subtle things or just like background stuff that aren't on those compiled albums.
Plus, there are some versions on it that John Williams specifically, so to say, post-composed for what's the term? For when orchestras want to play it on concerts. So it's a very round-up tune and not in terms of music cues. So he did various themes as orchestra pieces and recorded them, and it's released on those albums as well. That's something I had to learn, and I need to share it with you because it's important to know that it might not be the exact music you hear in the movies. And I wish there will be a time when we get a release of the full Skywalker saga soundtrack with all those music inside, because there's one CD album from the Phantom Menace, which is Darth Maul in a holographic way, which is it has almost everything of the movie music in it, but there is no such thing for episode 2 and 3.
Right.
And that's missing. It exists for the OT, and it was my go-to Bible in my childhood and still is, but I have to download it from or to digitalize it from CD to get it to my listening devices. So that might be another point what we could share to how to get them, or maybe drop a link for people to make it accessible.
Yeah, thankfully, it's the Ultimate Edition for the Phantom Menace. It's a picture of Darth Maul, but like blue. So that, my absolute favorite thing in probably my Star Wars collection. That is actually thankfully on YouTube, the whole thing. So
sweet,
yeah, you won't find it on Spotify or anything for like streaming, but it is on YouTube, so that's pretty cool. Because it's pretty rare. Like I had to find mine. I think it was like on eBay or something. Like someone had it on eBay, and which is kind of like a I don't know if you have eBay, right, in Germany?
Yeah, you do.
Are you familiar with eBay?
Mine.
Okay, cool. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Mine's 25 years old.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. That's awesome. I never owned it. I never had it, and I didn't know it existed really until college, and it was like, oh, what? You kidding me? Like this is a thing, and
how could I miss that?
How could I miss that? And this is exactly what I want. And I finally got my hands on it a few years ago, actually. So relatively new to me.
Yeah, that's some basic knowledge we should drop. Or I felt the need to drop it in our first pilot episode of SOMP, Space Opera Music Podcast.
Yes,
And
SOMP.
maybe it's right now the right time to go a little deeper into a nuance of John Williams' masterpieces for his Star Wars contribution. And I guess in general, we will focus on any music which appears in any Star Wars media, which is like official ones, right?
Mhm.
Because there are various new and older sources that we could dive into in the future, which are very interesting.
Yeah.
Besides John.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the more shows that are coming out, the more movies that are coming out, the more composers that we're going to have, and the more sounds that we're going to hear. So, yeah.
And they have different approaches, and
Mhm.
I still have to process to find my way how to or how not to like them. Sometimes it's just certain tiny moments, but I feel that they are still experimenting how to take on the legacy of John Williams and go different paths, which could be necessary for some time to not like be a copycat, but show that this will always be the main source. Actually, just like Ralph McQuarrie was for the whole concept art and design thing.
Oh, love
It's
that
the same
example.
for John Williams. So in the future, people who will be honored to write Star Wars music will always refer to the original stuff, I guess.
Oh, that is a beautiful comparison. Who, sorry to, kind of camp here for a second. Who would you say is your Doug Chang musically?
Oh, very good question. A while ago, I thought it was John Powell, but now it's I don't actually know how to pronounce him right. Is it Kiner? Kevin Kiner?
Kevin Kiner.
Kiner, yeah. That's the guy for me.
Yeah.
And his clan, so to say. Because I don't know
Sure,
if it's
yes.
his children or his anything related are have been
It's
doing the Bad Batch lately.
Yeah, it's like the
But
whole Kiner family is just
yeah.
doing it. Yeah. Just
For me,
crushing it.
it's this guy who knows when to copy John Williams and when to have his approaches to make his own style, depending on what's shown on screen.
Yeah. That's solid.
Yeah, and yeah, it's so hard to do it, but he does it so well.
Mhm. Yeah, he's contributed so many themes, so many new themes, that have evolved really, and aged really well. So, yeah, that's a solid
And
Doug Chang comparison.
yeah, so what would you say? Would you agree on Kevin Kiner, or would you say it's
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say Kevin Kiner, but the one I think that, it's honestly tough because Kevin Kiner has done so much and has covered so much ground, so much media, or has made so much of an impact, I guess we can put it that way. So it's hard not, especially because Doug Chang, are you kidding me? Like, he has done that, visually for us. So it's hard not to compare those two because of just the volume, that they've put out there. But I don't know. For me, I really, and once again, for me, I can't pronounce this. Maybe you can help with this one. But Gordy Hobb and Stephen Barton, they're the ones who did the Battlefront music for the video games. and
The
Jedi
EA
Fallen
Battlefront,
Order.
right?
Yeah, sorry, EA
Yeah.
Battlefront. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, Jedi, Fallen Order and Survivor, and Gordy and Steven, they have mastered the John Williams sound in a
Yes,
way that's
absolutely.
still fresh and
Yeah.
new,
Yeah.
and it incorporates a lot of things, and they just in the nature of video game music, like they have to write a lot of music, so they've also written quite a bit, um, and some really beautiful themes and things. But yeah, I think it's just the way that they um, replicate, or the way that they know how to replicate the John Williams
Mm-hmm.
sound is so
Mm-hmm.
masterful, and so you know that no one else right now, even Kevin Kiner, like he has some Williams isms, but it's a very different sound, and yeah. So that, I think, for me, that's my Doug Chang, if you will.
Yeah. I think, have we seen any Kevin Kiner live action music? We didn't. We don't, right?
Actually, yeah, for the Ahsoka show.
Oh yeah, okay. But this one stood out for me in comparison to all the animated stuff he did. I don't know why, but it felt different to me, and I like that
Yeah.
he made it differently, because uh, all the
Yes.
animated shows, and especially Clone Wars, is very stylized, and so is the music, and
Hmm.
that's very very well
Hmm.
adapted. And yeah, it's different, and I liked how he knew about the change he had to do for Ahsoka.
Yeah, I like that as well. It definitely, yeah, feels different. Um, yeah, yeah.
And he could refer to himself to pick up the Ahsoka themes and what he
Hmm.
already did. And I guess it's as well a matter of resources he could spend on, actual musicians instead of libraries to work
Right.
on, and which makes a different sound and a different approach he could enjoy to do it. I guess I don't know any specific facts, but it's what I sense somehow.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounded like. Just being familiar with you know orchestral mock-ups with sound libraries versus a live orchestra. I mean, there was definitely more um, live performance happening in the Ahsoka show versus, like, Clone Wars, for example, very sample library esque. Um, yeah, no, that's cool.
So yeah, let's maybe. I have some. I should share my today views of the other contributors to Star Wars, because
Hmm.
I do not want to roast anybody or want to drag down the music or what they achieve for Star Wars, but I have some maybe serious question marks. I'd like to ask them if they had the chance. And you might know what I mean, because when it started with Rogue One was the first spin-off movie, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, it was clear to me that they had to find another approach in the terms of music, when it was clear that it's not John Williams who writes the music.
Hmm.
And when I saw Rogue One for the first of many times in cinema, um, there was one moment I was very shocked about when I saw it, and that was a total copycat of the main title when the Rogue One, the Star Wars the story came up, and this was just too close for me to the original, and was just not necessary, and it really bothers me somehow, and I don't like that it bothers me, but it does, and I
Hmm.
guess for some reasons, and there are several other moments that should be different in my view, because we know that the Imperial March, it exists, and it has its place in the movie and in the score. But the first time we see these beautiful, stunning images of the Death Star and the Star Destroyers, we need to hear the Imperial March. And this was such a huge, letdown for me, where I was just, why? Just why not now? Why do you want to drop it, actually? And
Yeah,
there's,
you know what's interesting about
I don't
that
know.
is because that is something that I forget where I'd have to find, but someone brought that up like high up, like that was part of production. Someone brought that up, and they had this big discussion, as far as I know, about it. And the big reason that we don't really hear it there is because in the original trilogy, we don't even we only get the Imperial March, the first iteration of it, in Empire.
Yeah.
Like, it's not in A New Hope at all. And so
Yeah.
the thought process was, well, would it be weird to have, the Imperial March happening in full throttle, in Rogue One, and then all of a sudden we don't have it at all in A New Hope, and then again in Empire and on. That was kind of the thought process, at least if I can remember that interview correctly.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like I can respect that thought process. It is still jarring though.
But
when we
it's
take Star Wars
actually
as a whole.
from that point, it's just a matter of your viewing order, actually.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, it's like
being
when
a
we
Star
take it
Wars
as a
fan sitting
whole,
in the cinema,
right?
is
It's
we already know what exists and what we kind of, it's about
exactly
what do I expect from the music, and I
Yeah.
arrange myself with that, and it's this what you just said it makes total sense, and it's just there are two options, and they got with the one option, and it's in an artistry decision they somehow made, and which is okay. For me, one more argument about the viewing order, how to view the movies, when it comes to this, which is a very interesting topic in itself. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that what's his name, Michael Giacchino?
Giacchino.
Giacchino, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usual in the business, but he didn't have plenty of time to write the score, and there were people who were taking this as an argument for not being so great in itself, as music. But this is pro, and he know what to do, what not to do. So in general, it's we got great new themes and approaches. But I'm glad that you could straighten that out for me, because I can view it from a different kind of view, and I hope that this podcast would be giving me this joy.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
mean
for
that's another cool thing about talking to other Star Wars fans, is well, and that's a point and a goal of this podcast, is kind of having another positive example of Star Wars, of Star Wars fandom, and overall Star Wars positivity, and yeah, that's a goal of SOMP, if you will.
Yes.
So
yes, I'm glad that we agree on that.
Mhm.
So maybe for the record, that I should continue with my my personal analysis of Star Wars music contribution besides of John Williams, because what we saw in The Mandalorian and what Ludwig Göransson did was very new and very special and very, very fitting for this new direction of Star Wars. But in my view, he would be not the right guy to write music for the upcoming Ray New Republic New Academy movie, because
Yeah.
it totally is fine in the Mando series and Book of Boba Fett, but it has its limits because it's very specific somehow, and I like that about it. But it's
Mhm.
not this approach would not be the approach for not a new trilogy, but a new, live action OT era, or maybe prequel or sequel era composing style. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I am very curious who they're going to get for that, because I mean, we've heard John Williams say himself that he loves Ray so much and doesn't want anyone else writing music associated with Ray is kind of how I understood it, and that's what had him on for all of the sequel movies. And I wonder what his thoughts are on the new Ray film, and if he's still like, oh, wait, that's my baby, like I need to write
yeah,
for this, and um it would be marvelous to get another work, from John Williams. He's
yeah.
he's getting up there. So
I mean, he's 90 or 91 or anything like
he's
that, but
91. Yeah.
yeah, 91. The production will start about these days. The music will be one of the last pieces that will need to be done, and
Mhm.
I really do hope that this could be one of the last scores he could pull off,
Yeah.
because it feels right somehow. And there will be a point
Yeah.
where we have to accept the fact that he won't be doing any more for Star Wars. And this, I hope that they find somehow um, a music Doug Chang who is not only contributing but also like supervising, or like a Filoni music supervisor
Mhm. Mhm.
who's collaborating but also giving people a chance who could bring the necessary new approaches to certain Star Wars eras, or and I really hope
So,
that.
yeah, and you know what? That exactly everything you just said is exactly why I chose Gordy Hobb and Stephen
Yeah,
Barton
yeah,
as my personal Doug Chang, because that sound, that approach, that's who I would want to do like the Raid movie, for example. Like that is what it needs, in my opinion. So yeah, that's I, if I had to have my say on who could be fulfill that role, that kind of John Favreau or Filoni role of musically speaking, it would be the Gordy Hobb crew. So time will tell.
yeah. I'm with you. I'm totally with you. And to round up, Natalie Holt missing in this whole game, um, who wrote music for the Kenobi series,
Hmm.
except for the piece John Williams needed to write to get another Obi-Wan theme.
Right.
Um, um, I think her score is fitting for the series,
Hmm.
and I like it a lot. But there is something about it that is too much of a not universal style of music. It's somehow too YouTube epic for me.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
I
might
get
know
that.
what I mean. It
Yeah.
it, it works, but Star Wars music from the OT will always be um, not a trend music. It will always
Right.
could stand on itself, and this is Star Wars music should be that way, in my opinion.
Hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
why I have some small issues about the score from Natalie Hall. But I'm totally fine with what she wrote and what she developed for Little Leia and all those underscoring moments in this beautiful series. So it
Yeah,
was a good call to ask her.
oh,
In my
totally.
opinion.
There's definitely magic that she brought to the table, but you're right. There are quite a few. I think primarily it stems from um, chord progression, like
Mm-hmm.
certain modulations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And percussion specifically. I think those are the two main things that kind of inform our as we're ingesting this stuff. It's like, oh wait, I've kind of heard this stuff before in like you said, like YouTube epics or
Mm-hmm.
trailers or just like modern movies. Um, just like that very typical cinematic. These
Yeah.
well, what's the right word? These modern cinematic tropes, I guess. Which trope is a very negative word, but those isms. That's another word for it. So yeah, I'm with you there. And maybe that's just us as as music nerds who pay attention to these things and like know the trends and stuff. That could be it too.
Yeah, but that's why I hope there's some supervising music person,
Yeah.
because it will be necessary. It will be necessary,
Hmm.
and I hope. I really do hope that there will be a person who's not about who knows about the importance of this and not about his own ego,
Yes.
because it actually could be a like a wider team of composers who work together to achieve the sound that is necessary for certain eras or
Hmm.
content that is to be produced.
Yeah.
I really do hope it, and John Powell should be part of it, because what he did in
Oh
Solo
yeah.
was perfect. I don't
Hmm.
it's the least movie I like from all those main movies
Hmm.
for some reasons, but the music was on point for me.
Yeah.
He did a very good job at that.
Yeah. It's excellent.
So this is what keeps me rewatching this movie, actually.
Yeah.
And it's not, yeah, yeah. My issues about the movie in general is not, it's probably an expectation or letdown that I had that is not given to me. But I guess in general it should be in another way. But it's another podcast episode
Yes.
probably, and yeah.
Yeah.
So that's about all those non-John Williams composers, right?
Yeah, I think
Because
that's it
there
for
is
now.
another guy who did the Book of Boba Fett in like a team up with Ludwig.
Yes.
Let me look it
I
up for a
I
second.
always forget this guy's name. I follow him on
Yeah,
Instagram and everything, and I
yeah,
can
same.
never remember his name.
It's a shame.
It really is. Because I mean, he did a great job. He wrote, in collaboration with.
Joseph Shirley.
Yes, dude,
Yeah.
he's great. The stuff that he did for Grogu's theme, or like during
Mm-hmm.
the Luke and Grogu training sequence, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like beautiful stuff. And that was all Joe, in collaboration with Ludwig. So yeah, another great player. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. This is a very good starting for our podcast, I guess. And
Yeah.
we should maybe come to an end for this first pilot episode, because it feels right to do it right now. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you to be that you wanted to team up with me, and it feels very natural, very a good start for us. And I hope
Hmm.
that you guys enjoyed our first not too deep divey episode, but a general start how to go from here. And let us know what you think about what we said. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to have deep dives. What are your favorites? What are your least favorites, and why not? And we really love to hear from you guys. Everything about Star Wars music. So
Yeah.
shoot us
There's
DMs, shoot us mails. I don't know. Let us know.
yeah, comments, the whole thing. I mean, there is even just in our conversation, there's probably every 5 minutes of topic that we cover during this could be its own podcast episode. So there's no shortage of material to talk about and personal experience to explore and things. So yeah, the more input, the better. The more help in a direction, the better. So yeah,
Yes,
this
and
is
share
SOMP.
it. I mean, we are already not already. We are still learning new stuff,
Mhm.
and to team up is a good thing because we already share different point of views or different informations from like interviews or I don't know. And
Mhm.
if you guys are out there and know some new or some old stuff or in between stuff, just share it in case we haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Because there is too much
totally.
going on to get to take care of, to consume,
Yeah,
to dive
like
in.
you know, we're Star Wars nerds. Like I think we're pretty safely in that category. But dude, life is busy. Like who can keep up with all this stuff? I mean, there are a couple of people out there who they keep up with all of the breaking news and stuff, and like that's tough. That's a tough role to have because there's just so much going on. So yeah, the more input, the better. The more conversation, the better. So
Yes, try to find a way to explain certain topics in a very general way, but at the same time finding spots to nerd into music or music theory, and at the same time for you to be able to follow. So if there should be a moment where you don't follow or you have got questions, just let us know so we could talk about it again, accessible for you as you wanted to have or we will link
yeah,
or we will do some recommendations, I guess, because we cannot cover everything in the hour we are aiming for an episode. But let us know if you got huge or big or tiny or questions about anything we do.
yeah, that could even be a fun episode in itself. Just like kind of taking some of those questions about, okay, I didn't understand this that you were talking about. Can you explain that
Yeah.
more or something like that? That would be really fun. Just a big Q&A episode, basically.
Yes.
Hmm.
So we got a lot planned, and there's a lot for
Yes.
you to create with us, and we will ask for your help and for your interactivity each and every time. So
Yeah.
thank you for listening, and we will be back soon with a small deep dive from the Phantom Menace I prepared to discover, and nice to share it with you, Ashton, with our listeners, our community. And I
Yeah.
wish you all the best. Be kind, and see you next time. Hear you next time. Thank you, Ashton.
Yeah. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.